Hello, everybody, and welcome back. It is another episode of the Bunker Boys, and it's our favorite week of the entire year. Major weeks are always fun, but this is probably the most fun that we have in the whole season. It is Masters Week. Everybody's going to be talking about it all week. I've seen like 60 videos on my TikTok For You page already of everybody just talking about the Masters, so it's definitely exciting. It's buzzworthy, and we're ready to talk about it as well. But before we do that, we obviously have to go back and talk about the Valero Texas Open. Corey Connors gets a huge win, his second career win, both of them ironically coming at the Valero Texas Open. Slade, you got to see a little bit more of it than I did this week. I was visiting family, driving a lot. So I just want to get your thoughts on the whole tournament.
Yeah, I just looking at my roster in general, I looked at it on Thursday. You had said Rickie's Masters outlook wasn't looking too good. I looked at it and I saw that he was over par already. Um, I then scrolled down a little bit and realized he wasn't my worst performing player already. It was actually Davis, who at that point I think was +7. What a rough way through like 12. What a rough way to start. Um, he definitely my team definitely had a rough go at it. The only saving grace was Connors getting the win. It was really cool to see his wife and his child there on the side. You get to see it every week, but it's just really cool to see him win there again and do it in. I thought that they were going to give him some trouble based on Saturday. I think Saturday he was 2 over, I believe,
Hmm.
um, and that put him really close going into Sunday. Then he could have easily, without the double bogey, had a nice lead going into Sunday, a little bit easier of a round, but he definitely kind of put the pressure on himself. But he just played his own game on Sunday, really made it easy for himself.
Yeah. But I mean, huge win for him. Obviously, now he's going to be going back to the Masters. And I mean, anytime you just get to go to Augusta, I mean, it makes your whole year. I mean, he's hoping he can pull out a win and go back to back. And so are some of you guys who took him in fantasy, but we'll talk about that here in a little bit. Speaking of Rickie, I just want to talk about him real quick because obviously we were pulling for him heavy to make it into the win, get into the Masters. That unfortunately just did not happen. There are some highlights though of his season so far going on. I mean, he had a great Sunday. He made a charge all the way up to the leaderboard. He got inside the top 10. Um, and right now he sits inside the top 55 in the World Golf Rankings and 25th in the FedEx Cup. So it's looking very good. And if he can continue to progress and put together these really good finishes, he's definitely should be in line to make all three majors, remaining, which is what we want to see. And then obviously, hopefully next year he can get himself back to Augusta, but yeah, just unfortunate. At least he listened to us and listened to my plea, where I said, if you're not going to do it, don't break my heart at least. And he finished top 10. I didn't even think he was going to inside the top 10.
Not based
But
on Thursday.
no, Thursday and Friday, I couldn't
Yeah,
believe he ended up making the cut on
quite the
Friday.
weekend. Yeah.
Yeah. But regardless, I'm very happy still with how he's progressing and trending. I mean, it's the fact that he's able to compete and get inside these top tens and make some noises is a lot of fun to see, and it's definitely shades of the old Ricky. And now Slade doesn't have to go out and burn his orange polo like he talked about. So let's go ahead. Let's look at our fantasy standings from this past week, and where we sit now. I had a terrible week. I think I only scored 20 points compared to the rest of you guys. You and Nick both had 47 points to
Hmm.
leapfrog yourselves up there. So you're still 10 points back of him, and I'm dragging hind ass. I'm about 30 points back, and then you have Sam who's leading all of us. He's sitting 2 points ahead of Nick. So big couple weeks here. We of course has the Masters this week, and so much we could talk about the Valero, but really you're here to listen to our Masters preview. So let's go ahead and let's get right into it. We're gonna reminisce a little bit first. And we're gonna talk about some traditions that we like, some of our favorite memories, how we would want to watch the Masters, so on and so forth. But let's go ahead and let's get right into it. Slade, what are your favorite Masters traditions?
So I think by far my favorite tradition that I really grown to like this year. So first is going to be the par three contest. Just getting to see the families go out there and kind of get to do things. I mean, we saw Arnold Palmer's grandson hit the hole in one a couple years ago. We get to see Justin and Jordan both go out with their wives and their kids, and the kids in their little caddy outfits getting to hit a couple balls and stuff. It's just really cool to see the families out there. Tony Finau is a big family person that gets to go out with his family. Um, it's really cool to see the par three contest. In my opinion, last year kind of got rained out. I think after just a couple of holes because of weather, which we could see this year again. It seems like rain is definitely going to play a part in the tournament this year. But the second one is the Masters dinner. I think that just all of the buzz around Scotty Scheffler and his thing, and then the little joke at the bottom that obviously wasn't a part of his thing, but um, it's just funny that someone photoshopped that in there about live golfers. But yeah, I think that it's just really cool. You hear that there's no assigned seating. I think Adam Scott said this. There's no assigned seating, but you pretty much know where you're going to sit every year because uh, Palmer and Nicholas and Woods basically sit at the one end of the table, and then everyone else kind of files in around them.
Yeah.
And so it was really cool to hear him say that, and just the different things that you get to hear. They say that there's a lot learned your first time that you get to go to that dinner, and you get to hear all of these legends talk and their experiences and whatnot. So I would say that those two things are my favorite traditions about this.
Yeah, absolutely. You mentioned weather. I'll bring that up again here in a second. My two favorite traditions. One is a par three contest as well. It's just a lot of fun seeing these guys, even with the mounting pressure of one of the biggest tournaments of the year. Just around the corner on them starting the next day. They're able to go out there, have a lot of fun, relax. You get that quality time with their family. We get to see a much different side to a lot of these golfers in those moments, and it definitely makes it a lot of fun. My other favorite tradition is the honorary starters. I know it's very short, very quick, and doesn't really have a lot of impact on anything of the tournament as per se. But it's just such a cool way to start the tournament. Is you get these older generation golfers out there. They get their name announced, and it's just peace and quiet, and they hit the golf ball, and it's just so cool, and it's just for me the perfect way to start this tournament. And I don't think there's any other way you could start the Masters without the honorary starters. Um, so that would be my other favorite Masters tradition. Before we move on, of course, we got to remind you guys go to w.gg, use code JackWagon for 10% off your order. We would really appreciate if you guys help us out there. Um, Before we get into our favorite Masters memory here, um, let's talk about the weather. Slade, you just brought that up. So Thursday, they're calling for scattered thunderstorms, especially towards the end of the day. Friday, scattered thunderstorms in the morning, steady rain arriving in the afternoon. Saturday, rain likely. Sunday, rain likely in the morning, and then it's supposed to kind of pick back up in the afternoon again. Worst case, if we have to go to a Monday finish, they're still calling for rain Monday through
Mm-hmm.
Wednesday. So it can definitely present a lot of tricky situations. I'm not predicting, a super low score, kind of like we saw last year at tournament's end. It's going to be kind of back to 2016 when guys were shooting, right around 2 and 3 under for the entire tournament, in my guess. Um, but like I just mentioned, so our favorite Masters memory, I'll go first. First and foremost, I mean, it's got to be Tiger in 2019. Everybody thought he was done. He was finished. Nobody thought he belonged in the final group on Sunday. That he kind of lucked his way in there.
Mm-hmm.
Francisco Molinari just kind of was having a
Shit the
solid
bed.
day. Yeah, gets to the back nine and like you said, shits the bed. Tony Finau was never really a factor on Sunday, and
Mm-hmm.
Tiger Woods walks away with his fifth green jacket. My other memory, and this one isn't as like as of a happy memory, um, but it was one of the first Masters I remember like sitting down and watching pretty much the whole weekend. And it was Jordan Spieth collapsing in 2016 on the back nine, took a 5-shot lead back there, and just absolutely flatlined. And Danny Willett gets the win. My other favorite memory from that Masters is when Jordan Spieth's putting the jacket on him after the tournament, and he's just staring holes through the back of his head. And you could tell, I mean, he wasn't upset with Danny Willett. He's pissed off himself, but he's just like, I really got to put a jacket on this guy right now. Um, but Slade, what are your favorite memories?
Yeah, so kind of my first one is same exact year, 2019, like you had said with Tiger. First off, I think that was probably the first year that I watched Thursday to Sunday full coverage of the Masters. And I think if there was ever a chance that they're trying to pay someone off to get Tiger farther into the history books, I mean, that would be the one time that I would be like, what the heck? Because, like you said, Molinari, he played his normal self on the front nine, and then in the back nine, I mean, he's not even making facial expressions. It's just like, like you just don't know what's going on. But my favorite part from that tournament is the person that had to put the green jacket on Tiger Woods, Patrick Reed.
Yeah.
That happening was just really, really funny. You see Patrick Reed, who didn't have a great tournament. He's got his hair all greased up. You just know he's pissed that he has to be in this picture for forever, putting
Yeah.
a green jacket on Tiger Woods. And I mean, anyone else would take that as the largest thing, like the best accomplishment over like any of their own golfing things, is getting to put the green jacket on Tiger Woods after all of his injuries and different things that had happened with the mistresses and whatnot. Like, you just think that, like, oh my God, Tiger won the Masters after all this happened. I'm the one that gets to put this on there. Patrick Reed is definitely the only person that would take that the opposite way. Um, I think that the other one thing that I want to mention about kind of like the history and such, that is what I was telling you beforehand, and like we had said with the weather and stuff. I had heard about how a couple years ago, Tiger, he had started uh, after a rain delay. He was, I think, on the 12th hole, and he left his ball out there overnight because they had stopped play. He was going to go out early in the morning, finish his round, and then go on with the next. And so they kept talking about the dew. They kept talking about the dew and how it was going to help him in the morning, blah blah blah. And then I heard that basically the first time the Masters ever played, that hole 10 was where they actually started, and that where they start now, hole 1, is what used to be 10, the back 9. And the history with that is that the elevation is just higher on the first 4 holes, which makes it such an ideal starting spot for the tournament. And so that happened on the second year of the Masters, and it's just stayed like that ever since. I mean, there's been uh, so many advances with golf technology throughout the years that they could easily change it up every couple of years if they wanted to, but it's just something that happened on year 2 and they just stuck with it for forever.
Yeah.
Just crazy.
No, that's definitely a lot of cool. I mean, there's so many stories like that around the entire golf course.
Hmm.
And
The bent
it's
grass.
yeah, and
Did you
that's
hear
what
about that part? And
I had. Yes.
they tried it on the par 3 course. They didn't like that the holes were slowing, or the greens were slowing up with the Bermuda, right?
Yeah.
And they switched over to bent grass because they wanted it to be slick as hell.
Yeah. Well, they certainly did that, but no, but yeah, just everywhere you look, and then Augusta just is such a historical place. It's the one major we go to every year that you know where it's going to be at. The PGA, the Open, the U.S. Open, they all travel around year to year, and you have like places like the Open Championship kind of rotate the same courses, but regardless, it's still every couple years until you get back to a place like St Andrews or Royal Portish. Um, Whereas you go to the Masters, you're going to Augusta, Georgia every year, and it just makes the tournament itself just so much more historical and impactful. And you come to the same place every year. And again, I know there's tournaments on the PGA Tour where you do that every year,
Mhm.
where you were going to go to the same place for the Farmers Insurance Open for the Players Championship, but it doesn't make it any easier. It's still you have the weight of it being a major tournament and the weight of it being just so historically ingrained in everything that it doesn't make it any easier every year when you go back. There's a reason
Mhm.
Tiger, even when he was dominating for all those years, wasn't going back and winning Augusta every year. And that's just what makes the tournament so much fun. Next up, we have a lot of us obviously cannot afford, well, not necessarily can't afford, but are not lucky enough to get selected for tickets to the Masters because you can't just buy your way in unless you're super rich. Um, but so, Slade, I want to get your ideal way that you are going to sit home and watch the Masters. Doesn't have to be what you're doing this year, but
Mhm.
if you had an unlimited budget, you can't go to the Masters, but you can make whatever happen at your house or wherever you want to go. What would be your ideal way to watch the Masters?
Yeah, so this year I work Thursday to Tuesday, which is very unfortunate. So I'll be watching on an iPad in between patients and stuff. But I think ideally, Thursday, wake up, get breakfast delivered to the house, watch some great Masters play Thursday morning. Obviously, you start watching like 2, 3 hours beforehand. You have to see Tiger on the range when it's dark out. You have to see them all out there. Like, it's just a part of it. Thursday, just kind of a relaxed day and watch. Friday, ideally, go to like a Top Golf with big screens out at the end. Just be playing some golf. Watching it, drinking some drinks, and have have a couple of bets in for the weekend in hopes that it goes well. And then Saturday, uh, just kind of a relaxed day again, just kind of watching on the TV, doing whatever. And then Sunday would be the day that I would want to be at like a massive sports bar, hoping that one of those bets cash. My luck, they probably already failed on Saturday, but the hopes are that Tiger's within 5, and you get to watch the possibility of that happen while he tees off at like 9 o'clock in the morning with no chance.
Yeah.
What about
uh,
you?
so my ideal way, and I would do this for all 4 days. This would be the
Mm-hmm.
perfect weekend for me. Get together like a group of friends, and go either rent out a cabin. I'm very fortunate enough that I get to go to a lake house every once in a while. But just go somewhere like that, kind of like away from everybody. Get a bunch of really good friends. You load up, you take a bunch of food, everything you need for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. You take it up to wherever you're gonna go. Um, Thursday morning, you wake up, you make a huge breakfast, you sit there, you watch all day. Like you said, I put bets in all day. That's what I would do Thursday and Fridays is just sit there and all right, I think Tiger's gonna shoot a 72 today. He's gonna shoot even par the entire day. Just kind of like that stuff. Obviously, you already have your picks in for who's gonna win, who you think is gonna win anyway. Um,
You're playing the daily bets.
yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, Cut the Saturday morning. I want to wake up and I want to go play a round of golf. Doesn't have to be super far away. I prefer it to be as
Has to
close
be
as you
at the
can.
Masters par 3 course.
Yeah. But as close as you can to your house, so you're not wasting that much time in the car. But go get a round of golf in Saturday morning, and make sure you're back in time for the CBS coverage to start. Just because when that TV clicks over to CBS and you get the panning shot up Magnolia Lane and you hear Jim Nance go, "Hello, friends." It's like, all right, I'm home. Like I'm happy. So you can't miss that. So you have to be home in time for that. But sit there Saturday, have a barbecue, relax, eat some food. Sunday, wake up, and that's the one day where you just sit there all day. All right, I'm gonna watch it. What's going on? How's everybody doing? And then you're putting your final bets in, like you said. But that would be my perfect. I think playing a nice little quick round Saturday morning, especially with your friends and your buddies, and just spending the whole weekend there. I think that'd be like the perfect way to spend Masters weekend. Loading
At
up on.
what point are you starting to make the azalea drinks?
Oh, first, like I'm drinking that with breakfast on
Oh,
on
okay,
Thursday
okay.
morning. Yeah. So
I know
yeah.
that you had said that you're going to get them made this year. You got to
Yeah.
relook up the thing, or was it Sam that said he wants the recipe from you?
Yeah, so I forget what it is. I know it's vodka and grenadine, and then there's
Yeah,
other things in it, but, I made it last year watching the Masters. I thought about making pimento cheese sandwiches, but I've had pimento cheese before. I'm like, it's good, but, I mean, I'm sure the Masters is probably different, but, um, I'll probably just eat regular chicken salad or, egg salad sandwiches and just stick to that rather than, trying to go off the deep end, and I'll eat a couple hot dogs and stuff, but
yeah.
then you have Nick, who was getting upset that apparently he has to pay more for his hot dogs wherever he goes golfing, than the people at the Masters do. We had to gently remind him that the
The
Masters,
Masters is completely different.
yeah, the Masters
It
pulls in billions of dollars from merch and tickets. They don't, they can give you a free hot dog
right.
if they wanted to, or a very cheap hot dog, I should say. Um, but I could have swore Meadowbrook had like $1 dog, but maybe I was wrong. Maybe they changed it. Maybe inflation made it go up. Um,
Maybe he walks in and it's a little mouthy, and they're like, "How much you want for the hot dog?"
yeah.
Like $3, because they sell balls from like anywhere from 25 cents to 75 cents.
Yeah.
Like the most expensive ball you could buy is $1.
Yeah. Yeah, they just don't like him there, I think. But so it's time now for our Masters fantasy lineup. I'm gonna try and shake things up since I'm doing so poor here. So I'm gonna go first.
Okay.
So I'm gonna give you my 5 guys I'm looking for this week. And I honestly might. So you see Tiger Woods in here. Obviously, I'm not gonna pick against Tiger. But I don't know. I've been
I
flip
just
flopping
noticed
all
you put
day.
Johnson in. I love it.
I did, yeah. So first up, Jordan Spieth. The big talk around Jordan Spieth is obviously he's won here in 2015. He had the crumbling in 2016, but he has won on Easter the last 2 years. And obviously, the the Masters will conclude on Easter Sunday this year. I think if anything, it's just adding more pressure to him. But um, I mean, I'm not gonna go against a hot hand on Easter Sunday. And, Jesus can raise up from the dead. Jordan Spieth can win the Masters. That's all I'm saying. Um, Next up, we have Rory McIlroy. Finished second here last year. I had that crazy hole out with Colin Morikawa on 18. He's made 12 out of 14 cuts here. This is the final major he needs to complete the career Grand Slam. I think he's playing the best golf he's played since he won all those majors years ago. I think if there's going to be any year that he does it, it's going to be this year. And so I'm going to take him in my fantasy lineup as well. Scotty Scheffler, defending champion, playing amazing golf right now. Looked really good at the Dell Technologies match play until he ran into Rory in the finals. Or this, sorry, the third place match. Um, Getting ahead of myself there, rewriting history. But I think you can't go against Scheffler. I think he's playing just as well as he did last year when he came here. He excelled in the poor weather conditions last year when they were playing in it.
Mm.
We just talked about it earlier. It's not going to be great weather there. So I think Scotty Scheffler is going to do just fine. Um, he's played here. I've also written some notes down. He's played here the last 3 years. Um, Finished top 20 all 3 years. Um, Next up, we have Tiger Woods, of course. He's only missed one cut in his career at the Masters. He's also a five-time winner. Fred Couples got me on the hype train again. He talked about he went out and played Sunday with Tiger at Augusta. Said it's the best Tiger's ever looked. He shot a 68 with ease. I said, you know what, Fred? Fuck it, I'm in. So Tiger's in my fantasy lineup this week. Cam Young, I really feel like has a hot hand. He missed the cut last year in his Masters debut, but I think he's a much improved golfer. And we talked last week about how well he gelled with his new caddy immediately, and that caddy is a major winning a caddy. I think it's going to bring a lot to Cam Young's game at a place like Augusta. So I'm excited to see what he can do here this week. Last but not least, Dustin Johnson. I saw Slade picked him, and I was like, you know what, I kind of got to go with it. Um, the 2020 winner, he has only missed two cuts in his Masters career. He has a scoring average of 71.3. So I'm going to take Dustin Johnson as my live guy. Slade, let's go ahead and get your lineup.
Yeah, so just quick to talk on two of the guys that you had talked about. A cool thing that I'd heard today, or I watched today, was that Arnold Palmer and Jack Nicklaus had played a practice round in I think '96 with Tiger Woods, and after playing one round with him, um, they had said that they both agreed in saying that Tiger was going to win as many Masters as the both of them have combined, which together they combined for 11. Tiger's only at 5. He's got a long way to get there, but I think that at some point it just has to happen with the destiny and stuff that he has to be able to at least tie Palmer at 6. I mean, I I think it just has to happen. The other thing with Dustin Johnson, you had mentioned another stat is his last 7 times there, 6 of those times he's finished in the top 12. That's a pretty good stat when we're
Yeah.
looking at fantasy points here, especially when you had said that with weather, you're looking for it to probably play somewhere between like 1 to 4 under total for the tournament. If he's playing 71 point something, that's looking pretty good for him. Scotty Scheffler, I had to go with him. Like you had said, him and Rory are both the people to beat right now. It seems like they're going to be playing in the top 5 of play if they're in a tournament. It seems like over the last couple of weeks, it was really cool to get to see those two play for third place, like you had mentioned at the Dell Technology match play. Um, the other one, the first of my live guys, was Brooks Koepka. This might be a hype train that I'm jumping on, probably is, but we watched the what was the golf Netflix thing?
Full swing.
Yeah, Full Swing. We watched that. Everyone was like, "Geez, like Brooks is like acting like completely different than we remember him as being that like cocky guy that doesn't practice. He just shows up and wins." Uh, he was kind of felt sorry for him in that. It is like nothing was going his way. He signed his contract, got a bunch of money, but he did not look happy in it at all.
Hmm.
And with that, I mean, he's now to what he's saying, very healthy, feels healthy. He has 2 wins in the live. First person to do 2 wins there. The next person, Jason Day. I just think that Jason Day has sneakily been playing very good all season. he's been a top 10 player in every tournament that he's gone to. Now, there's been a couple hiccups within there, but he's been within the top 10 for the 4-day average there of the previous tournaments he's been at here. Like you, I picked Dustin Johnson just based on his previous experience here at the Masters. Like you had said, it's very hard for someone to repeat and to play like perfect at a place every year. But I think that he's got a really good scoring history here with the stats that you had mentioned. And so I think that that's why I picked him. And the next person, I mean, last year it was Scotty Scheffler. Right now, Corey Connors. I mean, he's had a good couple of tournaments here, and especially with this win last week, I think that he's got a really good hot hand. I think that it was between him and Young, and so I went with him just because I think it's a little harder to coach a player being the all-star caddy that you had talked about that Cam has gotten. I think it's going to be a little harder for him to coach him when it comes to a major because I think that the anxiety, the emotions, all of that's going to be really building up as he gets close to this tournament. I mean, I don't know who he's going to play his practice round with, different things like that, but I'd imagine he's going to be paired up with someone that's probably won the tournament before based on the list of legends that will be playing in the practice rounds along with the par 3 contests and stuff like that. I just think it's going to be a lot building up to the tournament that'll be hard for him, for Young, to kind of settle himself down prior to the tournament. Whereas Connors, I don't think he's expected to win, so I think it's a little easier for him going into this tournament.
Yeah. And I just keep referring to Cam Young's caddy as his caddy. He has a name. It's Paul Tesori. And I just kept forgetting it. And every time I went to go talk about it, I was like, it's just easier to say caddy than it is
Just
to
all-star
stutter.
caddy. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So those are our fantasy picks. I need a big week. I need to close that gap and gain some ground here. Last year we started at the Masters and I won, and then I never led again. So hopefully I can pick up a Masters win here again, and then win another time. But we'll see. Um, as always, we did our cash out picks last week. We're gonna go ahead and do those again. We're hoping for a better week. I I did not have a good week at all. I don't think none of my bets did actually because Ben Griffin decided he didn't want to make the cut. And Rickie tried to make my
He
long
did.
shot bet come true. He made a charge into the top 10, but just came up a few strokes short of in that top 5 for me. But okay, we're back with another week. Slade, I think you went 1-1.
Mm-hmm.
So we're gonna try and go. Well, you're gonna try and go 3-0. I'm gonna try and go 2-0. So let's go ahead and get yours first.
Yeah, so first, Cam Smith and Jason Day. I think that Cam Smith quite possibly at the time received the most hate for going to Live Golf because he was the first to just win and up and desert the PGA. I think that right after that, he just kind of, played it quiet. Nobody really talked about it anymore. He hasn't really been like this standout person where he's like winning up everything over at Live. So I think it's made it very easy for him to kind of fly under the radar coming into this week. I think that a T10 is very obtainable for him. Jason Day, like I talked about, has just been really consistent. I think that for me and my fantasy play, he's been the most consistent when I pick him. I think this week will be my third time picking him, and I'm hoping for another consistent week. Dustin Johnson, I went with T20 at plus 110. I was gonna do T10, but I didn't want to chance it with him having played against lesser quality field over the last couple of weeks. So I went with T20. I feel like being able to at least get your double your money get your money back is a good thing. And then Kepka, this is my long shot. I'm just kind of riding the hype of him being healthy. I would love for him to be able to win, and like I said to you beforehand, for him to like have a Masters dinner next year of like some chicken fingers, smiley fries, and like Michelob Ultra.
Yeah.
I just think it would be awesome. I mean, obviously for the PGA, it's a must that a Live golfer can't win this weekend. I
Yeah.
mean, you got to think that that's the case, but I would like to see Brooks win, just to see how it would happen. I mean, I think that Tiger would be out there to congratulate him. I think that there would be a lot of people out there to congratulate him, but I think that there could be some awkwardness if any of the other Live golfers were to win.
Oh, absolutely. Um, yeah. So for my picks, so again, this was one that FanDuel had already put together for me, or not FanDuel. Sorry, DraftKings.
DraftKings, yeah.
Rory and Scotty Scheffler to both finish in the top five at plus 600 odds. Again, I just got done hyping up both of these guys. Scheffler coming off that win, playing very good golf, as good as golf as we saw him playing last year. Rory, the same exact way. This is the best I think we've seen him in years. Last year at the Masters, I really feel like he wasn't at the top of this game, and he ended up finishing, tied for second. So I'm going to take those two to both finish inside the top five, plus 600 odds. The other one, I talked about him last week. I had him in my lineup, and honestly, if there's anybody, there's two guys I might put back into my lineup, as it sits right now, and that one would be Jason Day. The other one would be Will Zalatoris. Zalatoris just somehow understands how to get around this course. He's only played here twice. He's finished second and sixth. The worst round he's ever shot in those 2 years was 75. So yeah, I know he hasn't been playing that good, and that's kind of what scares me off of putting him in my fantasy team. But I think regardless of how he does in that, I think he just understands how to get around this course so well for a guy that's only played here twice. So I think he finishes inside the top 20, and that's at plus 130 odds. Before we move on to the growing our game segment, you just kind of alluded to it, and I wanna go back and talk about it really quick. And it's one thing we haven't talked about yet is the live guys playing this week. There's so much talk around it from everybody on the outside. Um, I personally don't think there's going to be a lot of animosity between the guys. I think if anybody, it's going to be Phil versus
Mhm.
whoever, just because Phil's the
Greg
only one that.
Norman was not invited this weekend.
Yeah. I mean, thank God. I mean, he didn't
Right.
deserve to be there anyway.
Rightfully, but yeah.
Yeah. When I was looking up my just masters from the past and stuff, in 1996 when he blew his six-stroke lead, I mean, he should have never been invited back to the Masters anyway. But, but I think Phil is just the only one that might have problems with anybody, and whatever's going to happen is going to happen at the Champions Dinner on Tuesday night. But I think as far as like Brooks, Dustin Johnson, Cam Smith is the only other one. But I think everybody now is just kind of like, okay, like it happened, whatever. We saw last year in the FedEx Cup playoffs when Scotty and him were subtly throwing jabs at each other. Scotty walked in his putting line and like kind of like turned his foot, and Cam just looked at him like, "What the fuck you doing?" But I think that's past it. Um, Everybody kind of accepted DJ leaving because they're like, all right, he was open. He was honest about it. He's like, I'm getting paid a shit ton of money to go play golf 8 times a year when he left.
Mhm.
And so I don't think there's going to be any issues there. Like I said, I think the only one's going to be Phil. But just your thoughts on the live guys coming back and what
Yeah,
effect you
so
think it might have.
I watched a video of the live golfers getting questioned about this before their previous tournament this past weekend, and the question was asked to, I think it was Bubba Watson, um, Patrick Reed, Dustin Johnson, and Brooks Koepka, where they were doing that weird thing where they all stand in front of the microphone,
Yeah.
all of them up there on the stage. It's weird, but they asked the question, and whether this is true or not, I found it very, very odd, just based on the first name that he named. But Brooks Koepka answered it, and he said that he's played a couple rounds the past couple weeks with Rory and a couple of other people, Kuchar, a lot of people that had very, very, very much voiced their displeasure with these guys
Mhm.
going over here and sticking with this. And I was very confused by it. I don't know. I don't know if that's just them, just saying that to try and calm the things. But he basically said like the media is the only person that has made it seem as if there was going to be any awkwardness going into this. He said, Brooks said, from my personal like thoughts on how it's going to go. He's like, I've had multiple conversations. He's like, last week I played around with Rory, and I think it was Kuchar that he had said, which I found it odd that he played around with those two guys. But he just said that he played around with them. Nothing was weird. They just guys out there playing golf exactly how it should be. He said. Then they asked Bubba, and Bubba had said about how he's already gotten asked by a couple of the PGA Tour players to be in their group for the practice round for the PG or for the par three course. He said that he's sharing an Airbnb with one of the guys. He said no, he's not going to like name drop and try and cause problems there, but he's
Mhm.
like these are people that he was friends with for 15 years. It's not like because he made a decision that was right money wise is what he wanted for his family, time wise is what he wanted for his family, that they should just like be like fuck this guy. Like he
Yeah.
said that if you go and get a job somewhere else, like if you're working for this one company and you go get a job somewhere else, I'm not like, I'm never talking to you again. It's like, whatever, like you have a new boss, you report to someone new, I report to someone new, but we're still doing the same job.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
No.
I don't think that there's going to be that much. I think the awkwardness would be which are the live golfers going to the Masters dinner?
The Masters dinners for past winners. So Bubba Watson, Phil Mickelson, Patrick Reed,
Patrick Reed.
Dustin Johnson. Can't think of anybody else that's
The
won.
only two people that
Uh,
I could think that there's going to be awkwardness with is Patrick Reed and Phil Mickelson.
yeah.
Um, those are the two
I
that I think that
forgot about
Phil
Patrick Reed and all the
Mickelson has.
lawsuits. Yeah.
Yes, yes. With Rory. So like I think that it's those could be the two things that there's like a storyline this weekend. But I think, um, I mean, I don't know who. I mean, Rory might have set up the practice round with Brooks last week, or whatever. Like just to
Yeah.
be like, look, this is about us all going out and playing golf. We're all trying to win the Masters. Like it's about the Masters. It's not about Live versus PGA. Like whatever. It just caught me by surprise that the first name that came out of Brooks's mouth was Rory, and that he had played a practice round because I feel like once a week Rory's getting on there and saying like, look, we're doing this. We're not doing what Liv's doing. Like he's still making it a point to bring Liv into the conversation when they should just be like,
Yeah. No,
oh, that's the
definitely.
black sheep. Like we don't talk about that.
Yeah. Um, no, to your point, I agree. But at the same time, I mean, since last year, Rory, I feel like has dialed back the rhetoric of attacking the other golfers for leaving and necessarily just directing his focus on, listen, this is Liv's issue and so on and so forth. I mean, I don't remember him blatantly going out and attacking any one golfer that left, aside from addressing his,
No, it was at a hole. Yeah,
yeah, aside from addressing his
Patrick,
BS with Patrick Reed.
which was hilarious.
But my concern this weekend with those guys, and again, I don't think Cam Smith's gonna go out there and cause a stir, any of the other guys we mentioned. But my concern is with those two that we just brought up, Phil Mickelson and Patrick Reed. I think there's gonna be such non-factors in the tournament that they're gonna have to do something dramatic, say,
Right.
something dramatic to kind of say, put some attention on me, and that'll cause some issues. But that's the only thing I would have concern for going forward, or looking at the tournament this weekend. Um, One last thing before we get into our growing our game, we have to remind you guys that that we are currently launching our spring golf. Oh my God, spring golf merch is live now. Head over to the link in our bio. We're also working on bunker. I can't talk. Bunker Boys merch is being worked on right now, and we'll get that launched as soon as we can. We just want to remind you guys to head over there and check that out. Link in the bio. All different designs, colors, everything, men's, women's. We got it all over there. So make sure you get over there and check it out. So I've mentioned it about 8 times now. So let's go ahead and let's talk about it. So growing our game segment, we enjoy doing this a lot. We get to talk about our own golf game, outside of the PGA, outside of Live, all that fun stuff. But we went to the well, asked my wife what our topic should be this week, and she said, "Tell me about your favorite courses and your least favorite ones." So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna talk
I want you
all
to
about our
set this up though, so I can hear how you go about it.
yeah, talk about our favorite courses and why, and our least favorite courses and why as well. Um, so my top two courses. The first is called Rocky River. It's here in Charlotte. It's the University of Charlotte's their college golf course. It sits right next to the properties for Charlotte Motor Speedway. Their drag strip actually lines the driving range, it's just really cool to see that as like your backdrop. But this is one of the best courses, nicest courses I have ever played. The fairways are beautiful. I mean, it's well kept up to the standards that it has to be a Division One golf course. Just a lot of cool, unique challenges. But the fairways are beautiful. Greens were so fast, and they had a ton of break in them. It definitely presented a huge challenge to a shitty golfer like myself. Um, but it was just the nicest, like well maintained, well kept golf course I have ever played on. The prices actually weren't that bad. I did go on a weekday, so it kind of helped a little bit, and in the evening hours as well. But regardless, I think I played for like $50, and at a course like that, it's hard to compete with. My other favorite course is called Mariners Landing. It's in Virginia. Whenever I go to my wife's family's lake house, this is one of the two that we go to. Again, very well kept. I love the golf carts here. I'm not gonna be ashamed to say that they got the fancy touch screens in them and everything. You can hook up your phone to the speaker and play music. Um, just top tier service, but again, just a beautiful golf course. Winds all around the valleys there. You got a couple holes that sit along the water. It's just a very, very cool place to watch. So those are my favorites. Slay, let me get your favorites, and then we'll get into our least favorites.
Yeah, so I mean, one of my favorites would have to be the one that we had both gone to on the Potomac, down DC area when we had gone our senior year. Just a really cool area, really cool that you're right there next to the Potomac River, basically on it. Golfing is just amazing.
Yeah, views of
Just
DC. It's
right,
called
right.
East Potomac Golf
We
Course.
went at a great time of the year. We went in May, I believe.
Yep.
So it was just a really cool experience. Got to be there with a bunch of friends. The other one, I would have to go with Toff Trees, which is up here. It was on the LPGA tour for like I think 20 years or something like that. Like you had said, like you had mentioned with the previous course. You had just said the golf carts are like the new top of the line things with the screens tells you your yardage, how far away you are. They've got speakers. You've got the beverage services coming like every 3 holes. It's ridiculous how fast they are. You can't even finish a drink before they're there again. Um, and with me living in the mountains, it's really hard to find a course that you're not playing half of the holes to where one is where you're going to get to roll down off the hill, and the other one is it just rolls down. It just doesn't stop. Like it's going to get to your house before you. Um, and so that's the one course that's super flat in terms of that. They play the par three courses on elevation, so or the par three holes. So there's two of the par threes that the hole is probably 30 feet above you, but 150 yards out, and so you can't even see like where the actual hole is. You can just see about 2 feet of the pin. Then there's a couple where it's like looks like it's about I don't know 80 feet down, and you're just hitting like your pitching wedge as softly as you can to try and get it there without flying it past the green. But yeah, those two would be my favorite. I think that I don't know. Did you get to play Top Trees when you were up here with
No,
me?
I haven't
I
played there yet.
forget. I think that we just played my least favorite course up here, but you like it, yeah.
I like it
Yeah,
just because it's not
yeah,
that
yeah.
expensive, but no, it's
Right,
definitely
right,
not a
right,
good
right,
course.
right.
I laughed when it popped up on that TikTok page the other day, and they were like
Yeah,
hyping
yeah,
it
yeah.
up and everything. I was like, it's a good price, but it is not that nice of a course. Like there's there's the par three. I think it's like 16, like where you stand up and like you can see the mountain and everything, but that's it. And they were like, oh,
Hmm.
it's got amazing views and everything. Like, it really doesn't. Okay.
That's the
But
exact course that like I despise being a left-handed golfer that hits the ball about
yeah.
150 yards straight and then it takes a left turn like it's trying to lose the cops. And just so on half the holes, it's just gone. The ball is just
Yeah.
gone in the parking
Um,
lot.
the other reason Slade really likes East Potomac Golf Course is because I threw my driver on the first hole, and then when we came back around the finish nine, it was still laying there. So, um, but
Good people down there.
yeah,
Anywhere up here, they stole it.
all the politicians were working that day. Working. So for my least favorite golf courses, I have one that's down here. It's actually in South Carolina. It's called Pine Tuck. If the people that run Pine Tuck see this, I'm sorry. It was a very good price, and I appreciate a good, cheap golf course. Just the whole the course was not very well kept, not very well maintained. The greens were, super patchy. You hit a putt straight, and it hit bumps to go, 40 feet right, and missed the hole. So it's definitely very challenging. I think they are putting a lot of work into it, though, from what I heard. So hopefully, it won't be on my least favorite list for long. My other least favorite is a course called Flatbush, just outside of Gettysburg. Um, they charge like $70 to play there, and it's not worth it. It's not that, great of a course. It's like there's nothing special to it. It's just they put some decent money into the maintenance and stuff, and it's kind of well kept, but not enough that they should be charging what they charge to play golf there. And so I hate a rip off like that. Like you go to the bridges, and usually that's like $60, but I feel like there's a lot of challenges there. It's very well kept, but you get a lot of cool views of the valley that we used to live in. And so I feel like that's kind of worth it, and you understand why it's so much. But Flatbush, I really don't understand why they charge so much for what they offer. I mean, you could charge $50 for a Saturday or Sunday round. I feel like that'd be fine, but it's not worth it. I'm pretty sure last I checked, it was like $70, $80 to play on a Saturday or Sunday morning. So I just hate a rip off like that. So that's why it's in my least favorite courses.
Yeah, so I mean, I have two least favorite courses. One being Skytop Mountain, which is the one that you had said there was a TikTok of it that popped up. I had thought about possibly doing a membership there just because it was like $700 for the year for a full membership. You play with anytime you want. And I just thought that that was crazy because Toff Trees that on the weekends is $100 to play.
Yeah.
I probably play that 7 times a year. So right there, I could just play as much as I wanted in a year time at the other course, but it's just not worth it. I mean,
Yeah.
there's so many other courses. I mean, I've lived in State College now for I think 5 or 6 years, and I've never even played the Penn State courses. Penn State has 3 courses that the university uses as their home courses,
Mhm.
and supposedly they're really good, but I just haven't made it there yet. Um, my second least favorite, I think, has to be the course that we played the first Jack Wagon Cup.
Yeah.
um, so we pulled up to this place, and I had bought a driver the day before.
Yeah.
I
Bought
bought
bought a brand new stealth.
the brand new TaylorMade stealth driver, um, thinking that I was going to be able to show up about an hour early and just use the driving range time with that because I had gone to the driving range and played a couple of rounds days leading up with my normal clubs, and so I just wanted to play or hit the driving range for like 30 minutes with the driver to be able to see how the new club worked out. I got there and the lady said that you can't hit over. Oh, I think she said pitching wedge or maybe a nine
I think
iron
it
or
was
something like
7.
that.
I thought she
Was
said
it
7.
7?
Yeah.
But she
7 or
said
8, but
that.
yeah, it was,
But then she said it's like you can't hit farther than 160 yards because that's
then
the
it goes
only
into the
length of
holes.
yeah. Then it goes into the course, and I'm like, I don't know what kind of driving range that is, so we just didn't do that. So we just putted around for a little bit, ate our McDonald's breakfast, and then we started the course. But I mean, I was not a fan.
Yeah. Uh, I will
It's
say
just
the
so
one
much
saving.
straw,
Yeah.
and yeah, I mean, I just was not a fan based on the interaction with the lady at the front desk. I mean, I tried to um we had we had purchased the rent like our tea time and the tea time after to try and make sure that nobody would like catch up to us while trying to do our first round while filming and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And she just was like, "No, you can't do that." I'm like,
Yeah.
okay.
But, I will say that the only thing that was I liked about that course was the fact that it was I think it was like $35 on a Saturday morning to go play,
Oh
so
yeah, yeah,
I
it
was
was priced very well.
yeah. But I will say the one thing both of those have in common that I was laughing I was gonna bring it up when you brought up, the Skytop, is both of their clubhouses were freaking, trailer
Just a
parks.
shed.
Yeah,
Yeah,
trailer
yeah,
sheds.
yeah.
Um, the Skytop at least has 2 that got put together, whereas, freaking I think, Pineapple, I wanna say that's what it was,
Pineapple. Yeah, yeah,
um,
yeah. Because it was like
was
Bigler though. Yeah.
it didn't have a pro shop. It had a trailer that had a window in front of it that you
Yeah,
just
you couldn't even go in. I don't think
yeah,
you could go in. I think you could
so
just look through the window, be like, "Can I get that box of balls? Can I get those?" Like whatever you wanted to do.
and
Like,
somebody also stole my 8 iron, but it was my fault for leaving it there, but but that will do it for our show this week. We thank you guys so much for checking us out. We hope you enjoy the Masters this week. We're going to be back next week to break it all down for you guys. As always, please don't forget head over to w.gg. Use code JackWagon for 10% off, and go check out our merch. We'd really appreciate your guys' support there. But we're so excited for the Masters this week. It's going to be a lot of
mm,
fun. Hannah's going to be upset with me. I already have a hard time listening to her. Sorry, I phrased that wrong, and I know she just heard that, and she's going to be upset. I have a hard time hearing because I tune out. I watch golf already, but Masters is going to be so much worse. So, but luckily we're going to her parents' house, so she can talk to her mom.
there'll be lots of hands to help with the baby.
Yeah. But so I'm going to get yelled at now. But I will see you guys in the next episode. We hope you enjoyed it and have a great rest of your week.